And actually, this is another thing I wanted to talk about is your multiculturalism. You because you have a multicultural background. I mean, you were born in Korea, and then you were taken to Africa. Was it Uganda?
Uganda.
Uganda, and then you came to was it Brazil? You're culturally tricultural. You have, and actually, when I think about you, definitely culturally more Anglo than anything else. You have a kind of the European culture embedded into you.
Hmm.
So, well, I don't know what my point is, but would you like to speak into what I'm respond
Yeah,
basically?
sure. I
Yeah.
would like to plug a movie,
What's that?
Minari, which
That's a
just
very
recently
it's a
came
Korean
out.
film.
Hey,
Yeah.
for all of you out there who are interested or curious about culture or about
Yeah.
people who are different from you and would like to just get a little glimpse, a particular window into somebody else, I would highly encourage you to watch that movie. You know, it's been nominated for 6 Oscars. And when I watched it, I could relate so deeply to it on various
Wow.
different levels. Just,
Wow.
on the fact that I consider myself sort of a third culture
Yeah,
person.
right. Right. Right.
We speak of that, especially in immigrant communities or Asian American communities, that we are displaced from our native land, and yet we don't completely fit into the majority culture that we live in, and so we're sort of like uh, we feel like outsiders sometimes from everything. And
Right.
it's a very,
Right.
very difficult place to feel. The surprising emotion that I felt watching that Minari movie was actually a deep depression
Yeah.
within my heart, within me, for some reason or another. That as I related to the movie, because it made me realize that I don't fit, I don't belong.
That's something we grew up with. You and
Yeah,
me. Like
yeah,
I grew up with that. Yeah.
as immigrant Asians.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but as I went through a period of self introspection with that thought of being a third culture person, of being an outsider, I also realized that it is actually a very unique place to be,
Yes.
and that you don't have to feel ashamed about it in any way, but that it is a valuable thing in itself.
Absolutely.
And I think
Yeah.
that that movie kind of led me through those emotions
Yeah.
of it took me from a high point to a very deep valley of self
Wow.
introspection, and
Yeah.
then rising out of that valley again to say, you know what, this is a unique story. It's a unique experience to be somebody who has to travel into the unfamiliar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
for someone that I mean, again, talking about culture, you speak into the movies. You're a movie lover, definitely a
yeah.
cinemaphile. Yeah.
I used to be, not so much more nowadays,
Yeah.
because I am so sick and tired of Hollywood just giving us 30 superhero movies every year. So
Yeah.
my taste for movies has actually
It's
gravitated
changing.
towards the independent or
Right. Right.
foreign movies now.
Do you know
Yeah.
who was the executive producer of Minari?
It's a Korean lady, right? And then there's Brad
No.
Pitt also.
It's Brad Pitt. Brad
Yeah.
Pitt was named as the
Hmm.
sole executive producer of this film.
Yeah.
And I had similar experience when I was watching this movie. I didn't go that deep as you did, but I felt like personally, I felt like I wanted to brush off the feeling. Like I was annoyed. I was annoyed and troubled by this feeling that I was experiencing as I'm watching this and going, "This is tedious." Like I don't know why and I'm watching with my wife,
Hmm.
and then after, after I slept on it the next day,
Mm.
I was telling my wife, you know what, that movie was actually deeper and much more valuable than I gave it credit for at the time. It
Yeah.
was actually uncovering something, a process inside me. I don't know. I mean, movies can do that. Movies can really definitely take you back to those moments when you were confused and didn't know what was going on. And I think Minari did a really great job in telling that story. Very poignantly autobiographical
Yes.
because that little brat that was hating on the grandma, was the director of the film, right?
Yeah. That put
Yeah.
pee in the grandma's drink.
Oh my goodness, man.
Oh, by the way, the grandma had a profound effect on me also.
Oh
So
yeah.
maybe I can relate that in some way also in this
Huh.
podcast. What I realized about the grandma, as a woman who at an old age had to leave the familiar and go into an unfamiliar place and then readjust her life over there. But
Mm,
the climactic part of the movie is her fault.
right. When they're
She set the
without
barn on
giving it
fire
away. Yeah. Yeah.
accidentally. She was
Yeah.
trying to help.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
She
That's
was
right.
really trying to help the
Yeah.
family, and she caused she a big mistake and set the barn on fire, right?
Yeah.
And then you have that incredibly poignant scene of her walking away from the house,
Yeah.
walking away
Yeah.
from the family.
Yeah.
And this is where the resolution happens, and the kids come and drag her back in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
Eh,
made me realize, I think, that we all make mistakes.
yes.
That especially for traveling people like you and me, Abraham get out of Ur of the Chaldees. Abraham made mistakes. We all make mistakes that have severe impacts on our lives. And yet, even when we feel like we ought to walk away from them, we're somehow dragged back into that environment. And so, to me, that scene, as deeply distressing and horrible as it is encouragement for pastors who make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, especially for third culture pastors or, people who maybe have failed in ministry in the past,
Mm-hmm.
which I've had my share of failures in ministry also.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it I can blame on myself, my mistakes, the things that I have done wrong in ministry. And yet we go on, faithfully continue to do. So that grandma just had that sort of an effect on me also, an
Yeah.
encouraging effect that, and this is a thing, in ministry, you will always do the wrong thing. You'll make
Yeah.
mistakes on
Well,
things,
because
and
we have
so
the flesh.
yeah,
As long as we're alive, we have the flesh. So
yeah,
we're contending with it actively,
yeah.
and you know,
And
yeah,
so, especially in this era, COVID era ministry, where we have to think outside the box and be creative in the way we do ministry, we will make a whole bunch of mistakes along the way,
along the way. Yeah, sure.
but it's okay. So
Yeah,
long as you learn from
yeah,
those mistakes and incorporate those lessons into your life and
yes,
continue on faithfully doing it.